the big news this week, you waited 45 years for this. Microsoft
It's happened. It finally happened.
Completed its Activision.
Microsoft bought Crash Bandicoot. It happened.
Crash Bandicoot coming
I'm not celebrating. I'm just very happy that we don't have to talk about this again.
You say that. We're still going to talk about it for months as things happen. The ball starts rolling. When did these games come to Game Pass? Wait for the next news article to find out. But after, has it been like 2 years? 3 years?
It says here 20 months. So okay. I think it was announced last Jan or Feb. It started off last year with a bang, where the plans for this were, put into action. So it's been a lot longer than the Bethesda one was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finally happened. After Microsoft got approval from the UA and then and then the FTC was defeated in court. It put a lot of pressure on the UK to kind of approve the deal.
The ultimate boss fight, the FTC.
Essentially the CMA. And Microsoft restructured their deal, basically handing over control of a lot of their streaming business in the region to Ubisoft.
That in itself was a complete left field. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, did not see that coming at all.
Not in but that was streams.
That was enough to appease the CMA, and they approved the deal on Friday, and literally hours later Microsoft closed. So yeah, it's done. This deal is now absolutely done. The FTC is still going to be fighting Microsoft in court for some changes to how they operate the deal, but now that it is closed, it's a lot harder for them to enact change.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we'll hear more about that when that starts happening. The FTC, after they closed the deal, basically said that they still weren't happy with this deal, but they can't really do much now because they lost. The court case was basically an injunction to prevent Microsoft from closing the deal before the court proceedings in December could take place, and they lost that. So, it's wild. It's now means Microsoft has spent $69 billion on Activision, and they own properties, such as Blizzard. They own all of Blizzard. They own Diablo. They own Call of Duty. Crash Bandicoot and Spyro are now Microsoft properties, which is fucking insane to think about.
Sorry, audio listeners, we are watching the trailer, like the reveal trailer. Sekiro has also been flashed here a couple times. It's like, Activision did publish that. So
Activision still owns the publishing rights, as far as I know.
So that's
Sekiro. So I don't think Microsoft can make one without From Software. But they now have the rights to publish it.
I'm more thinking that might very well end up on Game Pass at some stage.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be shocked. A big part of this deal that is often not talked about in these circles is obviously King. Mobile gaming, gigantic.
Candy Crush, and beyond.
They make 50% of Activision's revenue hand over fist. So that's a lot of money that Microsoft is now going to have. But yeah, I saw a lot of people tweeting yesterday, acquisition is easy, integration is hard.
Yeah.
And we've seen that with Bethesda. There are still issues with, more than a year and a half after that acquisition of integrating that into the Microsoft ecosystem, because Bethesda still operates as a separate entity, much like I think Activision is going to operate as a separate entity. Like Bethesda is still the publisher for Starfield.
Yeah.
It is a Microsoft game, but Bethesda is like the arm that is in control of it. And I think Activision is going to remain in the same way. You're not going to see those names disappear. But now, how, what sort of oversight does Microsoft have on Activision dealings? We saw with Bethesda that after the situation with Redfall, that Phil Spencer said they should have been more active in
helping them,
helping them or at least, steering them. But I'm pretty sure at the time Bethesda was like, well, we just want to keep doing what we want to, what we do. So it's a very this balance now is very difficult. But I think the core thing now is figuring out what to do with Call of Duty, because that franchise has been in a bit of a weird spot for a very long time now.
But still prints money, basically.
Yeah.
Which is,
and then what the fuck to do with Blizzard? Because that is a company that is in desperate need of help, I think.
Also, just in terms of culture, Activision specifically I think we'll touch on it in news later, but old Bobby Kotick is still CEO of Activision. and
until the end of the year.
Until the end of the year, but it's still like, it's just weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been a lot of criticism for like the timing of this. Like Microsoft did use, again, this is business. So like business is business, but Activision basically went up for sale, quote unquote, when they were facing a lot of questions about their workplace culture and how it led to a lot of, sexual assault on employees. And there's that horrible story of the one employee who committed suicide because of apparently something that happened on a work trip with the manager. And a lot of that's just kind of disappeared.
Just vanished, yeah.
Microsoft swooped in to be like, we're going to acquire you because your share price is taking a hammering because of all these investigations. There were federal investigations into Activision, and those investigations have gone. There have been no like perpetrators brought out, no arrests, no nothing. So like, what does Microsoft do about that? And they should do something about that.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing of like, okay, they own them. Do we see in 3 to 6 months like, oh, this investigation found whatever? Like, I don't know, but I mean, they have the power to do something about it now.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I do think just the acquisition as a whole, like, I don't know if we'll see something this huge for a very long time. Like, it's a massive,
I think Microsoft's still going to be purchasing people, but on the scale, I don't think we're going to see much. I mean, there was that small news story floated around earlier where Disney leadership was being asked by shareholders to make a purchase of EA. Like, we keep hearing about how Disney wants to have more control over its video games because its properties being licensed out aren't really working. So maybe that happens. I don't know. I also don't think a company of Disney like Disney would want to take that risk again. They literally got out of games like not even half a decade ago. Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, I think this is the biggest one we see for a very long time. But also the fact that this went through sets a precedent that mergers of this magnitude can work.
Happen,
yeah. So does Sony go after a big target now? I don't know if they have the money to, but at least now they know that the regulatory hurdles, they know how to overcome them, Only Microsoft could have put up with an acquisition this long for this long.
Yeah. I think also I don't at all mean this in a condescending way, but I also think the average gamer who's pro PlayStation doesn't understand how much money Microsoft has, because it's all good and well to
gigantic.
Go like, well, Sony's going to go buy whoever. I'm like, I don't know.
Sony's not going to buy EA tomorrow.
I don't think they have the financial means. Like, don't get me wrong, Sony's huge, but Microsoft is massive.
Again, it also comes down to strategy. Acquisition of this scale isn't necessarily what seems to be part of the plan for PlayStation, because they are still focused on single player experiences or live service experience and their catalog of games, whereas Microsoft is now a content business. Yeah. They are a Netflix. Their plan for the future is a service like Game Pass and an obscene amount of content on there.
Exactly. I mean,
and you only do that through acquisition.
I suppose let's use that to pivot to the next story. So you think, okay, Microsoft now owns Activision and all these peeps. When do these games come to Game Pass? There's a report before the deal closed actually that said Activision says its games won't come to Game Pass until 2024. I mean, but this is what, like, to your point, this is the big deal here, pun not intended.
Yeah.
That all these games are going to come to Game Pass, and that is a massive value proposition. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Sony. I love gaming, full stop. But Sony's strategy is like, we've got, the Uncharted and the God of Wars and the Horizons, like these awesome single player narrative games and a whole lot of other games, but we've got like a Game Pass, but it's not as good as Game Pass. I mean, Sony's got their own streaming thing, but it's way, 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 way limited compared to Game Pass. I mean, Game Pass in its current state now, just off the top of my head, I'm like, I can go play Lies of P, I can play Cocoon, I can play Starfield, like all these things day one in the last month, 6 weeks, whatever. But let's say this time next year, it's like, I don't know, I've got Game Pass, I can play the latest Call of Duty. Oh, there's a new Crash Bandicoot. Oh, there's a new this, there's a new this. It was probably going to be day one on Game Pass, unless I don't know, unless Microsoft plans to tier things off, like maybe there's a premium version or whatever, but I don't see that happening. At least not.
I don't
yet.
see it happening. No, I mean that would dilute the purpose of these acquisitions. I think so. I think just like Bethesda, I recall Bethesda games took some time to get onto Game Pass, but like once that happens, then like everything new going forward just comes to Game Pass. That is the purpose of all of this. So. Yeah, I mean, I think by like Feb, March next year, we'll see Diablo 4 and Modern Warfare 3 on Game Pass, and that's already like the most recent examples of Activision content.
It's mad talk.
And then maybe we get like, it's a big thing. You get the whole back catalog of Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Oh yeah,
that's
every
huge.
single Call of. But yeah, to your point, every single Activision game before, like, yeah, it's. I mean, just on the Blizzard fronts. Imagine having like all the Warcrafts, all the Starcrafts, everything they've touched. And you've got PC Game Pass. Here you go. You get access to all these games. I do wonder, I'm very curious, do future Blizzard games, like I know Diablo is an exception, but do future Blizzard games like a StarCraft, for example, I mean, I know that franchise doesn't exist, but specifically PC only franchises like World of Warcraft, do they at some stage, I'm talking like very long term, get a console version for Xbox? Like I don't know, these are things that could happen.
Could be I suspect that because I was just thinking about this now, like we have the Battle.net launcher as well, where you can still purchase games, and I know that over time that evolved from just Blizzard games to that's where you buy Call of Duty, you know what I mean? And then Call of Duty came back to Steam after being away for such a long time. I don't think those two things are going to go away. Like if you look at Microsoft now on PC at least, they still release all their games on Steam. Because they're still like, if you want to play on Steam, you can definitely do that. You just purchase it there. The Game Pass is, stuck within our Game Pass app because we want that to be your entry point to the rest of Game Pass. But if you want to play on Steam, and you prefer Steam, and I like to purchase your games outright, we still have that option for you. You know what I mean?
The Game Pass app still talks to other apps. Like because on PC Game Pass you get access to EA Origins, for example. So if you play The Sims 4, you'll launch it. I think you can launch it through Game Pass, but it's still going to open up the EA app.
Oh yeah. So probably do the same with Battle.net.
So I think you always need like the Battle.net app, but
they don't talk in the way that like if I own PC Game Pass and I want to play Forza, but I want to play it via Steam. It's like, no, these are two different versions. Like you can't play a game from Game Pass on another platform. You have to always, the entry point is always from Game Pass. If it needs to launch another launcher, then it does that. But the entry point is always Xbox's app. But I think Battle.net will still be around. Like if you want to purchase outright the next Diablo or whatever, you can do that. But I do think you're right. Although now that they control that marketplace, I do wonder if they go, okay, we're going to link Battle.net and Xbox accounts so that if you log into Battle.net and we can detect that you own Xbox Game Pass because, hey, we own both of these systems, then you just have access. Whereas with Steam, obviously Microsoft doesn't own that, so they have no way of doing that. Yeah. So
it's interesting.
I don't know. That could be cool.
See. But I suppose keeping on with Activision news, last piece, this is some wild stuff.
What the fuck was this? This is weird.
So Activision hired James Corden to host an employee meeting with old Bobby Kotick.
Why? Tell me why.
Why this happened?
Explain this.
I don't know. But I just have no words. I threw this article in because I thought it was very, very random. But I suppose the most interesting tidbit that came out of it is that old Bobby mentioned the reemergence of Guitar Hero and other things would not be possible without the different types of resources, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, okay. Guitar Hero is potentially coming back, but why?
I'd be down for a new Guitar Hero. I just do not think that that's ever going to happen.
I don't think.
Not in this day and age.
They tried to bring Guitar Hero back already. It didn't work. I know. It didn't work.
The day and age of plastic peripherals.
It just screams to me that he's so out of touch.
Yeah. I mean, there's some wild quotes here from old Bobby Kotick. So it says here, according to Eurogamer, that Kotick told James Corden, also referred to as the cat star here, which is really funny to me.
I was a lot.
It's just really funny to me. That the company had a, quote, magic and special culture, and that it was the same magic which had attracted Microsoft. So,
really,
like we said previously, it wasn't magic that attracted Microsoft. It was opportunity.
Yeah.
Because Activision was facing criminal lawsuits. So it's a strange kind of magic, but yes. He also says he expects devices akin to Elon Musk's Neuralink, an implantable brain-computer interface, to push things forward. Quote, I think you'll see things like Neuralink. You'll actually be able to interact with things on the screen where there isn't a controller. Did Kotick ever play with Kinect?
No.
Like, that's no controller. That's the same thing, my dude.
You need a brain implant, man. Look,
fucking hell.
Maybe we are the dummies here, and in 10 years, controllers are not a thing, but it's wild.
Play Guitar Hero without a controller, you just air
God.
guitar, and then Neuralink like interprets all of your...
This whole meeting is just bizarre. Also,
just so strange.
Just the fact that
just
they hired
really strange.
James Corden to host it, like, why?
Great header image, though. I approve of whoever chose that. Very, very
great.
Good.
Love it. But it's funny you mentioned the cat star thing. That also, I laughed. It's like,
fuck, I laughed at that.
That's
My God.
It's not something you want in a resume.
It's a very busy week in games when we've spent a good maybe 10 minutes in news, and we haven't even spoken about a brand new PlayStation 5 console.
Oh, I mean, it's a new console, but it's not like new hardware in terms of power.
Can I say this? It still looks ugly.
Oh my God.
It's smaller, and it is much smaller, and I am appreciative of that. It still looks ugly.
So yeah, the audio listeners, the PS5 Slim has been confirmed. It looks
very unceremoniously announced, I'll say.
Just like,
fucking blog post.
Here's
and
a blog
boom.
post.
Yeah. And for all the months of rumors of a detachable Blu-ray drive and this and that, like, so now do they do a pro version? Because I thought all of that was going to be lumped into one. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's like Matthew said, a slim version of the PlayStation 5, both in disc and digital form. Sony says the new PS5 has been reduced in volume by more than 30% and weight by 18% and 24% respectively compared to previous models. It's weird. It looks the same. It just looks like slimmer. And it's got these weird like black like stripes on the middle part of the side. I don't know. It's strange.
It just looks a teeny bit like it is slimmer, but it's just a little bit shorter.
There is some fucking bullshit with this. Okay, firstly, this is going on sale end of the year or holiday season. Nice. It will replace the current PlayStation 5 model. So the current PlayStation 5 model is basically being taken out back in the shed and just put out of its misery. And this new console is what's going to be on shelves going forward. Now, why that's I think, very annoying considering some of the decisions. Firstly, the little stand that comes with the PlayStation 5, awful, atrocious, terrible. I hate it. You move the console, it moves. You try and pick up the console, it comes off. It's fucking trash. You know what it is, though? Free.
Hold on. Is yours not screwed in?
No, I have mine horizontally, so it just pops off. It's fucking stupid. But it's so dumb.
Can you not screw it in horizontally?
No, horizontally you can't. Okay. Vertically you can. Horizontally it just clips into like little portions on the back, and then you're at the mercy of gravity.
Dude, you've done something wrong.
No. Okay, no. It's a bad little flimsy stand, but it is.
Give you that, yeah.
It works,
and it
works for the most part, and it's free. Now, the new PlayStation 5, both models, comes with a stand. It is only compatible horizontally. The vertical stand is sold separately.
That's just,
it is, I think, $50 if I'm not mistaken.
Excuse me?
Sorry, $30.
Okay, but still, that's
so if you want to have your console vertically, and also the old one isn't compatible with the new one, so you can't just keep it.
Oh
it's completely different. First thing of annoyance, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, like straight up bullshit. You're paying $500 for a console, and you still need to shell out $30 or nearly 10% more for a stand. Secondly, the Blu-ray drive is $80. Yeah, $80. An external Blu-ray drive. That is absurd. It should cost half that. Crazy. Okay,
crazy
so that
talk.
means if you want to take your digital console and make it a disc console, you're going to be paying $480, right? That's like the math you've just done in your head. Wrong, because the digital version is now $50 more expensive. This is probably the first time in history that I've seen a slim console
cost more,
not get cheaper, which is fine. That's not always the case, but it got more expensive by more than 10%, the digital version. So now the digital version comes with a worse horizontal only stand. No Blu-ray drive, fine, but now it costs $50 more. And for you to get feature parity with the disc version, you have to pay $80, which actually puts you $530 out, which means you could have just bought a disc version and a stand. I hate this.
So listen.
I think Sony is taking the piss here. It is unbelievable.
You have a choice to make. You can either buy your PlayStation now, enjoy the big boy, or wait and cough up more for the little boy.
It blows my mind. It also blows my mind that this was reported on so widely and no one picked up on the price change. Like Sony buried it so well. They were just like, disc version 500, digital version 540. I even listened on some podcasts and they're like, yeah, the prices have stayed the same. I'm like, they haven't. They've drastically changed. What are you talking about? Like,
my goodness.
It is very, very... Slim consoles are slim because the manufacturing processes have become more efficient. Chips have become smaller, so they require less cooling, so they require less plastic, so you require less volume, blah, 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 blah. All of that means your production costs, your manufacturing costs are lower. So you can either make your slim console cheaper, or to keep, market relevancy, you can keep it the same price. Making it more expensive means you are changing your profit margins.
Yeah.
Like,
you're out here taking the piss.
Taking the piss completely. It's outlandish to me. I cannot believe that has happened, and like there hasn't been more of a stink kick up over that. It's just crazy. Anyway,
hate to see.
That's the PlayStation 5 Slim.
Look at it go.
Look at it go. It's so cute.
Let's bounce through these last pieces of news. This is also huge. The Unity CEO has retired from the company weeks after the pricing controversy. For those of you who don't recall or might have missed it a few weeks ago, Unity basically restructured their pricing plans, I guess, or the pricing model, which could very, very negatively affect a whole lot of developers. It got huge backlash. And I guess this is what happens. The CEO is like, I'm out. Peace. Get out of here.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think, John Riccitiello was definitely, he's CEO, so he oversees oversees everything that happens at that company. So there's no divorcing him from the entire debacle that has kind of tanked Unity's reputation. I don't think he's the only person in that company that pushed a change like that. So just getting rid of him doesn't immediately solve all the problems there. He is getting paid an obscene amount of money to leave.
How much?
I don't think Eurogamer mentioned it, but it's millions. Like, so much money. He was offered like a massive bonus in stock options. He was, the incoming interim CEO has got a package of $1.2 million a year. It's like a lot of money. So yeah, it's the continuation that we see in the games industry of really, really bad people continually failing upwards. One might look at Phil Harrison as another example of this. But yeah, John Riccitiello, who was like yeeted out of EA and then now did this at Unity, just making tons of money for being an absolute fucking idiot.
Yep.
It's great.
Love/hate to see it. Yeah. In other news, Ubisoft delays free-to-play shooter XDefiant again to address inconsistencies in the game experience. How many times has this game been delayed now?
Yeah, it's weird because the previous delay, there was, some back and forth between journalists at IGN who initially broke the story, and I can't remember if he was like creative director on the game, whatever, saying like, no, it wasn't delayed. We just failed the certification test, which means we have to delay it because we have to apply for certification. And he seemed to suggest framing it as a delay, put a negative spin on where the game's progress was at and actually damage the game and whatever. Now it's actually just been delayed, and it's been delayed indefinitely as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is just a continuation of the growing problems with launching a live service game, finding the right timing. Like, would XDefiant launch alongside a Call of Duty? That would be absolutely buried, especially considering it is Ubisoft's own sort of take on Call of Duty in essence. So like, yeah, I don't know. It was likely due this October. There's no word yet on when it might eventually arrive.
R.I.P.
Well, yeah, hyenas and now XDefiant, who knows?
Second last piece of news, Mario's new voice actor has been revealed, and it's not who data miners thought it might be. So if those of you don't...
Oh yeah, I saw earlier this week, like, data miners thought they'd found the name, and then Nintendo had to come in and be like, no.
So if you don't know, old Charles Martinet has stepped down as the actual voice actor of Mario. He's not leaving Nintendo entirely. He still will be the ambassador, well, a Mario ambassador.
Whatever that means.
That travels the world, sounds things, does lots of wahoos. But he has been replaced by, I cannot find... so data miners previously believed that Mick Wingert, another actor whose name was listed in hacked files, would be voicing Mario, but that is not the case. Where is the name? I saw it earlier when I put this piece here.
The actor's name.
The actor's name, yeah. It is Kevin Afghani.
Afghani? Yeah. Yeah.
So you have
it says here that he has a relatively small list of credits, with his most notable other project being Genshin Impact.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I would love to know the process of finding a replacement for Mario.
Yeah. Who the hell knows?
How do you even... How do you admin that? What does the audition look like? Or they say, give me a wahoo, give me a let's go, and they go, oh my god, this is the one. he's got it.
You
perfect.
Nailed it.
You sound so Italian. It's great.
You sound so Italian, but also fake enough to not be Italian.
Which I mean, it is funny when you think that Mario doesn't say much. Okay, but the old Charles Martinet has been like, he's attached to the character for obvious reasons. I imagine this is going to be huge for what's his name, Kevin Afghani. Like, it is a huge deal. So good for him. Let's see how he does.
Yeah, no, good for him. And like, a lot of people at the first outset of Super Mario Wonder said, there's something slightly different with the voice there. But like, a lot of people didn't ever like even ping that wasn't Charles Martinet, and I think that's exactly what Nintendo wants. They don't want a big hoo-ha made over like this new Mario voice. So if they found someone who's able to replicate that voice extremely well, then
they want
sweet.
A big hoo-ha, but PR people
not a big wahoo.
Oh my god! News agencies like, report this news. Charles Martinet is dead. He's no longer Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Nintendo's like, no, please, you're not supposed to know this. And then last piece of news, this one made me laugh and also equally cry because it's very sad. So the Lord of the Rings Gollum, the game that came out earlier this year that was an actual dumpster fire, they issued an apology, etc., etc. Turns out that apology was allegedly written using ChatGPT without the developers' inputs, which is just horrific. I mean,
yeah,
what is going on here? Like,
we'll stress that it is allegedly. So
yeah,
but this is basically coming from some former Daedalic Entertainment like employees who basically said their publisher Nacon actually put out the statement without even like consulting the studio themselves, and it's what they believe occurred. So yeah,
I mean, I've read it, it's facts, you cannot take that away from me.
What a shit show.
I'm kidding. Sure, on that is news for this week.